You're listening to the Cricket Podcast.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Cricket Podcast. We're in part 3 of our episode, or part 1 if you're watching on YouTube, I suppose. We'll be talking about
Part 1 of 1.
The Border Gavaskar Trophy. It is 2-0 to India. It will shortly be 3-0 to India. But we need to preview that test and discuss why that will happen and do some more laughing.
There could be like some sandstorm from somewhere.
We'll do some more laughing at the Aussies. Before we do that, Max, we need to talk about our partners for this episode, manscaped.com. You can use the code CricketPod for 20% off plus free shipping over at manscaped.com. Once again, CricketPod for 20% off and free shipping. Max, you're looking at me really weird there. Why are you looking at me?
I just heard some rustling in the background. I can only assume what your cat's doing is looking for the aforementioned device that could be used for some trimming. Perhaps your cat has overgrown their fur a bit, and as spring is around the corner, wants to trim slightly.
We don't want to propose that you use the Lawnmower 4.0 for shaving your cat. Please don't do that. Lawnmower 4.0 though, it is perfect for shaving your pubic region. Get your balls nice and smooth. The Lawnmower 4.0. Also, they've got some new boxers on the market, haven't they? Boxers 2.0. Good Christ alive.
Boxers 1.0 are good, so imagine what Boxers 2.0 are like.
Imagine how good Boxers 4.0 when we get there are going to be. I don't even know what
is it a logarithmic scale? Are they going to be like?
I mean, yeah. So to go with your Lawnmower 4.0, Max, the Boxers 2.0. Do you want to tell me a little bit about them before we talk about India?
Well, they're super comfy, and that's all you need from a pair of boxers.
Okay, well there you go. That's it. Super comfy boxers, ball trimmers, Cricket Pod, 20% off at manscaped.com. Right, we're off to Indore or Indore. Or maybe I'm putting too much of a T emphasis on that. Do let us know in the comments because it's causing problems. It's the third test. Max, first things first. Is there any hope whatsoever for Australia in this test series? Like, can they salvage a draw? Can they burgle a win? Is this over?
It's if they're gonna do something, I think it's got to be now. And I think with the fact that Cummins isn't around, it's going to make it difficult. But I do think there's a chance of something because for the fact that Warner's gone, it's not good for experience. But in terms of output in India, I don't think that's necessarily that much of an issue. Although Travis Head opening the batting and as a replacement in the second test, it went okay. We'll see if he can do something with that. I don't know. Hazelwood's ruled out for the whole series. They sent Ashton Agar back after bringing him over. That was all a bit weird. But Starc's back and Cameron Green's fit. It gives them a much better balance to the side, being able to pick. They can now pick one seamer and have two seamers because Cameron Green can bowl if they want to go with the three spinners still. So that's definitely a fillip for them and sort of gives them something a bit extra with the bat. So there's a chance, especially and as well when you got Steve Smith and Marnus Labuschagne, there's always a chance that they're going to go and put on like a 350 stand, which
I don't
the
think
pictures we've seen could be enough. But just say I think there's an outside chance that something could happen. I think the pitch is going to be similar to the last two, isn't it? From what I've read.
Oh, well, like the two that Australia couldn't bat on.
Yeah. But they got a bit better in the second one. They actually put an innings together, and in the first innings, but for that rearguard action from Axar and Jadeja, they were in a position where they could have had a bit of a first innings lead.
This is exact. They did have a bit of a first innings lead, 1 run.
Yeah, it's enough.
It could have been enough. I don't think they've got. I heard Dan talking about this, and you guys talking about this on the last podcast. And you can't write off any team with Smith and Labuschagne in. I don't think I've really seen anything from Labuschagne to show that he can bat in these conditions. I'm just going to say that, and maybe he proves me wrong. I don't think he has the technique. I think in other conditions, sure, great. I haven't seen a single thing from him which suggests that he can do this. Got a few runs really early in the first test, didn't he? But they were quite skittish runs, and he was out stumped for no reason whatsoever.
That was odd.
Yeah. So I think it is, Smith we know can. I will grant you Smith. The problem I have is that at the beginning of the series, I thought Australia might have 3 players. Now I think they're down to 2 players because I'm writing Labuschagne off, and I think Khawaja is really the only other one. Do I think Khawaja is on the Smith level or the Labuschagne level out of India? No. And so I think it's quite unlikely even he can produce. And India, on the other hand, have probably got 9 guys who are about as good as Khawaja in these conditions.
There is that, yeah. And also they're taking out the one sort of head start card that they were giving. Are they
going to ditch King Legend?
The rumor is King Legend is for the chop, and Shubman Gill will be coming in because I don't know if there was someone picked up a very slight adjustment to their squad list for the 3rd and 4th test, which was that KL Rahul was no longer the vice captain. Yeah.
No, I did see that. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think that is fundamentally the problem. Like in these conditions, it's not like, to be brutally honest, to the Indian batting lineup. It's not like they're out there killing it every game. Like there's a lot of players in that team that are struggling or producing very inconsistent runs at the moment at home. There's a couple that are doing quite well. I don't think anyone would take Rohit's recent performances away from him, and Jadeja's been slaying. Ashwin's been pretty good in recent series.
But it turns out India bat really deep now. That's what.
And actually, Shreyas Iyer has been quite good too. But there's 2 or 3 guys in that lineup that aren't absolutely killing it. But when you have 9 guys who are as good as the opposition's second best player, and that's probably being fair, I would say. Khawaja might rate himself better than Ashwin in Indian conditions.
Ashwin doesn't.
Not. That's probably the tipping point, isn't it? Is Ashwin a better batter in India than Khawaja? I think it's maybe
close enough that it's a problem for Australia.
Yeah, and that's it. Like, so you're really relying on a guy who's as good as Ashwin, and generational talent Steve Smith, who's captaining and has like a point to prove and shit like this.
Yeah, well, that's it, isn't it? He's captaining. They're going to win because Steve Smith's the captain again. Everyone's going to be angry.
Even if Steve Smith held up one end, I just don't see them getting 250 or 300. Like in both innings, I think you need.
Innings.
I think you're like, what are you looking at as a winning total across both innings in these? They're only 3-day tests. 480.
Yeah, I would have. That's the number was in my mind.
I think you need twin tons from Smith to get 480 if you're Oz. And like, I understand it could happen. I understand it could happen, but
I'm not saying it's likely.
I think we're looking at a 5% chance.
5, okay.
Maybe not. Look. Maybe make it 10 because also freak shit can go down. Like I'm completely writing off every other Australian batter. Sometimes people just have a career day out.
Joe Root could take 5 for 9.
I was reading about
India could end up being bowled out for 50.
I was reading about like some of the some IPL prep about some of the kind of unknown guys who come into the IPL and get 100 and disappear. And there was a guy, I can't remember who he was. So this is a terrible anecdote, but he came into a team and he got 120 in 40 balls, chasing 190. Like he played the greatest innings of all time, and then like never did anything again. This was back in about 2013. Someone will let me know. 2013 to 2016, that window. Like it is possible Hanscom does this. It is, Hanscom is as he's actually been reasonably competent. But let's pick on someone worse. Warner. No, he's gone home. Renshaw does this. It is possible. Renshaw, like for all as poor as he's been and as sort of questionable as his selection is, and all of this, it is possible that it's just his day. Or Alex Carey, maybe those reverse sweeps do come off over and over again.
Maybe he finally doesn't play down the wrong line at one.
Instead of missing the ball by almost the entire width of the pitch, he's just middling it for fun. He's a cruise missile of reverse sweeps. dispatching India.
What I'm
This is gonna
picturing
happen.
this conversation to me is that GIF that says, "So you're saying there's a chance?" That's what
it
this is.
exactly this. But there is no chance. Is actually what I'm saying. Like they have in conditions which are definitely going to benefit the spinner. They have the fourth, fifth, sixth best spinner of the 6 spinners that are going to be playing in the game. But yeah, maybe
I don't know. I think I don't lie above Akshar,
maybe you bump Lion above Akshar, but it's close, isn't it? And if it really spins, you probably put Akshar above all of them. Like it's, what if it really spins? But if it's one of those pitches, then it's If it's a joke pitch, let's just call it what it is. So if it's an absolutely diabolical pitch, then maybe Akshar is actually the best player of them all. And it's so you're outgunned in the spin department in a game that's going to really be about how good your spin bowlers are, and then you're completely outgunned in the batting department. And this is why nobody can really win going to India, because even though teams will turn, like England could turn up with the Bazball thing in full effect, and I would say Root would be clearly the best player batting wise on either team, clearly by a distance. In even in those conditions, I'd maybe say Harry Brook. The way
I'm looking forward to seeing that. When that happens, it's going to be great.
On raw talent, he might be above some of the Indian players, and certainly above Khawaja on recent form. You might have Ben Stokes above some of those India players, but then you're looking at still the problem where it's 9 excellent. Peach. It's 9 excellent Indian batters against 1 world dominant Joe Root and 2 excellent England batters again, and then the rest. Even if you throw Bairstow in, it's people are asking, how would Bazball go in India? I think they would give it a really good go. I think they would.
I don't think it would be any worse than our last effort.
No, but they won a match there. They did win a match there. This is you can say what you want about England. In that series, they did win the game that they had the best chance to win.
Yeah,
or the only chance to win, really. They did do the business there. And actually, England in Asia in recent years of the non-Asian teams have been pretty good. They've got wins in Sri Lanka. They've got wins in Pakistan. They're competent-ish in those conditions. It all fell apart, but I'm not. You can't really blame them for what happened in some of those matches. It was what it was. Let's be real. I don't see Australia. I don't think Australia have got the skill. I don't think Australia have got the experience. I don't think Australia have got the fight. I think so many things have gone wrong for them. It's the wheels have really come off, haven't they? There's a fatalism about the whole thing. Half their players have gone home. There's some people are coming back from home.
Yeah,
don't know why they're coming back.
Well, it could be. Could it be the reverse? Could it be the reverse India Australia tour?
No, it can't. I'm just. It just can't be that. And then they showed the pitch today, didn't they? And you're getting maybe a slightly biased view of it. But I think that I'm going to use Jeff Lemon as the example, because I think people think that he is more neutral than some other journalists. He tweeted and said basically what this pitch is a bit of grass in the middle and completely bare at either end. So you've got all of these problems with skill, and this is just the skill difference doesn't go away if you're playing in more, in quotes, neutral Indian conditions. You still have a situation in India, even on a pitch that will definitely go 5 days, where Khawaja might not be better than Ashwin. Probably in that scenario, he starts to go above Ashwin.
And all the benefit you have from having a guy like Mitchell Starc or Cameron Green is kind of sapped.
Yeah. But potentially. So you in those scenarios, perhaps it mixes things up a little bit, but it certainly brings the possibility of a Smith double ton into play, and someone just holding up an end, which is effectively what England did, right? Yeah. When they did win, they were like, okay, Dom Sibley block it out, and Joe Root's going to get all the runs we need. That's the tactic. That could happen with Smith on a slightly flatter pitch that went to day 5. I know why we're talking about this. A better cricket pitch. I've fucking had enough of this. A pitch that I want to see more games played on. a more competitive pitch, a more
Yeah.
balanced pitch.
Balanced,
I think, but we're not going to see that. They've shown us the pitch. We're not going to get that. Or I say Australia aren't going to get that. And then
we the viewer, we the paying viewer.
As a viewer, I will be honest. I'm watching this, and I'm getting to the point. It was a little bit like this. It took a little bit longer, I think, for England when England were there, because they did win the first match. So there was like, okay, maybe they could still theoretically draw the series. But like, what is the point to some extent? And like, you can at this juncture, you can throw at me, oh, Australia, it's on Australia to learn how to play in these conditions and to develop their players. They're sending all their A tours there. They've got spin academies coming out their arse. Like it's not, they're not, they're not going to get anybody that grew up in India playing for Australia. They're just not going to get that. They're not going to get 9 of them. They're not going to get 3 excellent spinners in India conditions.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think it's been as extreme this time round.
They might as well do what they're kind of doing. I think this is it's been a bit round the houses at this point, but they might as well do what they're doing. Go there, take the absolute whipping. Everyone will laugh at them, and then they go out to every other condition in the world, and they're competitive. I know where I'm going with that. Australia are definitely going to lose. There's a huge skill gap. India are better. India are especially better in these conditions. Whole thing is slightly undermined by doctored pitches.
But that's cricket.
Yeah, maybe that's okay. Maybe it isn't. I think doctored pitches anywhere are a fucking bag of shit. This previously exciting series I was looking forward to is crashing and burning. Australia, it's
that is partly on Australia not knowing how to play cricket. Like, absolutely, well,
the
pitches have been quite turny, and they've all been wrapped up. They've all been wrapped up very early, but it's not been anywhere near the level of a couple of those games in that England series. We
haven't had an Ahmedabad day night.
No,
like I will say that we haven't even had a Chennai 2, but like it. All of the reasons we thought Australia might be competitive have it's turned out to be more or less unfounded. They have done what they've always done, turned up without a plan, made that plan worse somehow. Imagine that. Like, not really, don't have a plan. What should we do? Fuck it up some more.
Well, I look forward to see what
kind
plan
of double
they come
down
up with for this one.
The captain's gone home. They've got the new captain. They've got sandpaper captain in. He's the only batter. They're playing, a team of superstars at home who have actually managed to improve their side from the second test to the third test. And on top of this, they've got they're some of the biggest homer conditions Test cricket's ever seen. I don't know. Yeah, what do we make of this? It's all a bit Salvador Dali, hasn't it?
Battle. It's an uphill battle for Australia, but
yeah, I'm going to watch it. I'm finding it really entertaining. I think it is good. But
that's the thing. Even if it isn't competitive cricket, it is good fun watching Australia get a taste of their own medicine.
It's like watching wrestling. I don't really care for it, to be honest. I like the whole taste of your own medicine thing. It's more like wrestling. Well, I guess no. Maybe I'm saying this, and maybe I actually secretly do like it. Like. It's cricket's answer to wrestling. Like there's.
Or it's just completely staged.
Well, I mean.
Oh, sorry if I spoil wrestling for some people. Did they not know?
I do sort of think that a little bit for some of these matches. I think that there's a few places in the world where I think Australia at home do it. England at home can do it, not always, and you get some fairly balanced conditions in England, and actually sometimes weather conditions are really what decides makes things very difficult to bat. And it's the weather is shit, but we don't order it. We don't live on this island and then think
4 clouds, please.
Yeah, how can we make some more clouds? Maybe
we should,
but we are. It's like, what are we seeing? It is great. I mean, like there is an undoubtable brilliance to the way India play in these conditions, but it's like playing a football match and then behind one of the goals you erect a giant fan that just constantly blows the ball away from the net. Like, Like it is possible in theory to get the ball in, but you like have to
Kick the ball
run
harder
it
than
in.
anyone's ever kicked a ball before.
Yeah. Like you need 3 men working together in triumvirate to force the ball into the net, and then at the other end is just
Lionel Messi on the left wing with
ball
a sail.
slopes down from the halfway line. Yeah, and then at halftime they flip it round. It does have vibes like that, and it's like, look, I understand there is sporting brilliance to this India side, but Christ, I wish that actually this series had lived up to what it was supposed to be.
Well, all we can do is look forward to Bazball landing in India. Is it next year or was it 2 years? I don't know. It's coming up, isn't it? It's in the next cycle.
It's I think it's a year. Yeah.
Yeah. So that should be a laugh.
Might be January.
Well, Bazball might be over by then, but we'll see.
Yeah, I'm sure Basel will be over.
Next stop, the Ashes, though.
Look, I think what this does really do is sets up an exciting World Test Championship final between India and Australia.
Hopefully,
at the Oval.
Still a chance. Sri Lanka could sneak in.
Yeah, I suppose. Right? Are we? We are pretty overrun.
I think we're
out
of time.
It wasn't supposed to be a big run about how pointless this series has become, but it did.
It happens with us sometimes, doesn't it? Let's be honest. Wouldn't be the first time. Won't be the last.
Well done, India. Well done. Well done.
Heartfelt, that was.
You're listening to the Cricket Podcast.